I know that you're a Jersey girl inside. 4 a.m. at a diner, stop singing, living on a prayer. I'm thinking maybe you're a Jersey girl with all those highlights in your hair. No other girl can move like you. We pump our fists, damn right it's true.
Good morning. This is Shelly, your mouthy mama at Talking Trash and Truths. And it is Wednesday. I know what today is. 8 o'clock in the morning on the East Coast, September 20th, 2023. This is Coffee and Chaos with T3. That's me. Let's see. I wanted to say good morning to Daisy and to Outpost Nerd, since you guys are hanging out in the chat so early. Uh, Outpost, you said that the damn shotguns woke you up early? And Daisy asked you if somebody was chasing you out of the bedroom. He wishes. He wishes. Nerd said, I live in the country. See, admitting it is the first step. On a lake, and it's duck season. I dare you to go out there and quack. Anyway, good morning, good morning, good morning. Today, we're going to be talking about denial. Denial isn't just a river in Egypt, but apparently many activities could be had upon it over and over and over. There's something to be said about stamina. I did also want to thank Rabbit because I didn't see it yesterday. Guys, this StreamYards doesn't show me crap. I mean, it really doesn't. It does not show me a damn thing. And I always forget to open up the YouTube studio because I know I should, but it's like, it's a pain. Why do I want to do that? So it says go live. There we go. Let's set up my YouTube studio. And denial, blah, blah, blah. Stream health. Stream is healthy. Okay, so I want to thank Rabbit very much for her 5 gifted memberships yesterday that I did not see. I saw them after we logged off, and I was like, wait, my count went up. So thank you very much. They went out to a couple people. I don't really remember who. I think Far Cry. I don't know who else. I really don't, because I slept like 3 hours last night. I'm PMSing, and I don't remember. So there you go. It's been quite the few days. I know you guys were here, most of you, for Monday's stream. That was a very emotional stream. Outpost Nerd, $10 super chat. I gotta find my mouse. I lost it. Look at that. Thank you very much. He said, morning, fellow trash talkers. I can sometimes hear the buckshots raining down on my roof. I said your country. See, they don't do that everywhere, just by you. And I don't think they're shooting at ducks. They're just giving you a nice little warning symbol. But thank you very much for the super chat and the chuckle and the ability to mock you openly. I love you. So I just like teasing you, nerd. Nerd knows that. And trust me, he gives as good as he gets. I will not go unscathed. He'll think of something all day long. Monday. Oh, God, Monday. Monday, we did a 5.5 hour stream on complex post traumatic stress syndrome. And the way that I tend to share information with you guys is I tell you the more clinical versions, and then I give you an example from my life that you could possibly relate to. And move this damn microphone. When it comes to complex PTSD, it's a conglomeration. It's a steady increase in the traumas from your childhood, ages birth through 15 years. And I had many, 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 so many. And they were never addressed, they were never treated, and they were allowed to fester and build as my foundation for everything I know for almost 50 years. It's lucky that I have a really good therapist and I have a really invested psychiatrist who was able to tell me, hey, winning, it's winning reality. Um, Go ahead and post all your links. And if you want, I'll pin whatever you want to the top. What was I saying? See, he always throws me off. Ugh, he's very distracting. I mean, he is a very handsome avatar. Let's see it. He's like jacked now. I really did lose my train of thought. Anyway, so all mine went untreated, right? Until recently. And I started addressing it in 2018 and I wasn't ready. I tried to unalive myself in November 2018 because I couldn't deal with the memories. However, I've been through so many more traumatic events since then that, I'm good. I'm good. It was very hard to talk about what happened to my dogs. Rabbit's here. Rabbit, thank you so much for the gifted memberships yesterday. StreamYard doesn't tell me anything. So it was like I didn't even know they were there until I logged off and went back and I was like, wait a minute. So thank you very much, Rabbit. I appreciate it so much. Yeah, so I just couldn't deal then and I can now, I think. I'm much more confident in my ability to process and deal with those memories. As long as I can get them out, I think I'll feel better. Monday was very emotional. I made my chat cry a couple times. Hey, Eris. Iris. I always say Eris because I don't know, it's like the British way. Listen in the background, Shelly. Thank you very much. So yeah, so it was very emotional for me. And when we logged off, when we parted company, luckily I had a friend who was there to talk me through, and I was able to say a little bit more. And it's getting to the point where I can I can see that little lockbox that I keep those memories in. And I can acknowledge that it has to be dealt with, that it's been long enough, far too long, and it's become a part of who I am. The things that my father did, they caused such trauma, and having no support from my family, not being protected, basically just being on my own since I'm like, I hate to say it, since I'm like 2, because bitch got to fend for herself. It could have turned me into him. It could have. I could have easily decided to just go the drug route and do the hard drugs and, be a monster. Because I know that I can be mean. I can be caustic. I can be extremely vindictive. And I know that that's all him. I learned that from him, and I learned what neglect is from my mother. I learned what deflection, projection, denial, what those were from my grandmother. And I realized that they kept all that information from my stepdad, from daddy, from my grandfather, and from my uncle. And for very good reason, because, I'd be visiting them in jail now. But instead of becoming like them, someone pointed out that I went the other way. I was determined to never hurt a kid, like never take advantage of them, never exploit them. And I mean, I make mistakes. I'll like say something like yesterday. My daughter said something. Said, "Oh my god, idiot," because she hurt me. But that was my anger response. That was the ooh lash out, and that was the worst I did. And somebody called me on it, and I, apologized to her later. But I would never do what any of them did. My kids are protected. I swore to protect them from the moment I conceived them. As soon as I knew about them, they were mine. Mine. Nobody gets to hurt what's mine. I value the people in my life. I try not to take advantage or take them for granted. Sometimes you get preoccupied, you get stuck in your head, you forget, and you mess up and you need somebody to call you on it. And we do that for each other. We'll tell each other when we're being stupid or when we're, acting like a dick or whatever. And it's great. It's great to have that kind of accountability mixed in with love and affection and, a support system that says, well, you don't want to do that. How are you going to avoid it next time? Like, what are you going to do? Make a plan. Don't just go with your instincts because your instincts weren't that great. And we help one another. And I can't stress how valuable and essential it is to have people around you who just love you. They love you, they care about you, and they're willing to put forth the effort to talk to you and get through all the issues that you have. It's also nice when they lace it with, my type of humor, which is, of course, vulgar. I mean, come on now. I mean, you've met me. And I know that's another coping mechanism that I have. My speech and my humor are vulgar because I want you to be off put. I want you to be a little shocked and take a step back, because if you're taking a step back, you're not taking a step forward. And that's fine with me. I love people at arm's length. It's safe that way. Every time I let somebody close, I get hurt. So it's by rights, I should say I'm not going to let anybody close ever again. But I'm not made that way. They may have done things that changed my central nervous system, but they didn't change my heart. They didn't change who I am at the core of me. I'm still going to be generous. I'm still going to be forgiving. I'm still going to be foul as much as I want to be. I'm still going to laugh and I'm still going to love. I'm going to live my life and I'm going to live it well as I am able, because nobody else gets to take that away from me. I will face this demon. I will deal with it, and I will put it where it belongs, in the ground, right alongside him. Once I let it out, it's out there. And we all know that I hear things. Maybe one of the or two of those ghosts will go back to their little, ghostly place and go kick his ass. I could dream. A girl could dream. That's my dream. That ghosts kick my father's incorporeal ass in hell while he has to, I don't know, play canasta with who would annoy him the most? David Soul. He hates David Soul. Is David Soul alive or dead? I don't know. But yeah, now he's always jealous of him. Funny. Honestly, I just give him some time alone with my grandmother and let her actually just go at him, because I know she always wanted to. The things she said, that's another thing I want to address. A lot of people, and I mean a lot, I got a lot of feedback about my grandmother and how could she be your hero? She abused you by neglecting you and not protecting you. And, like your mother should have stepped in and she should have at least made sure your mother did something about it. And I mean, so many people had something to say and they were angry, really, really angry. And while I love that you were angry on my behalf, my grandmother's still my hero. Did she make mistakes? Oh, hell yeah. She absolutely, absolutely made mistakes. Big ones. But nobody really knows what they would do in that kind of scenario, especially back then. We say we would do this, do that. And the only reason I know is because I'm always willing to fight for my kids. If you come at my kids with any kind of ill intentions, you ain't going to get very far. Come at my family, my loved ones, anybody that I care about. Come at me. Let's go. You won't like what you find. I always say, "Oh, I'm tough, but I'm soft on the inside." Yeah, I'm soft on the inside for the people that deserve it. But if you don't, you're gonna get nothing but just venom and as much cruelty as I could dish out. You will pay. So I don't suggest anybody fucks with them. It's just a friendly warning. 'Cause I'm done. I'm done being nice. Nobody wants that. One of the main things that I think happened throughout my childhood was this, and I'm not excusing my grandmother, I'm not excusing my mother, trust me. With my grandmother, that was my biggest bone of contention with her right up until she died. I could not believe that she did this to me, that I used to sit there and just look at her and go, "Do you have any idea, like, what those words do to me? Why do you think I say them? To hurt me, but what the hell did I do to you? Why do you wanna hurt me?" When she was on her deathbed in the hospital, I left work. I went right to see her because of course I did, and number 1, when I took her to emergency, she made me the one to sign for the DNR, which that wasn't fucking fair. And then when I went to go see her, "Hey, Graham, how you doing?" I was sitting next to her bed and I took her hand and she turned her head and she looked and she said, "Michelle?" I said, "Yeah, it's me." I said, "I came to, keep you company for a little while." And she threw my hand away and made a noise of disgust. And I was like, "Really? That's what you want to go out with?" And she said, "Ugh." She was like, "Go home. Go to your husband. Go do something. I don't want you here." Oh, you couldn't rip my heart out more. And I left and I walked home. I think I don't remember. It's not that I don't have the memory. It's just I kind of blocked all that out because I was in a daze. And I got home, I let myself in. My husband's sitting at the table with my mother and with my daughter. Katie was 7, almost 8. She was 7 and a half. Because it was right before New Year's Eve. It was like 2 days before. And right away, my husband said, "What's the matter with you?" I said, She threw me out." And my mother just put her head down. And I said, "What do you know about this?" And she was like, "Well, your grandmother's a little funny sometimes. You don't know why she does things." I was like, "No, you know why she did this. Like, what the fuck? Why did she do that to me? I feel terrible." I was like, I spent my whole life with this woman. And I spent 28 years with this woman. And now I discussed her? So I was like, what did she want from me? What did I do? You didn't do anything, Michelle. No, I had to have done something because she won't even look at me. And my mother said probably the only smart thing I've ever heard come out of her mouth. She said, "How much do you love your grandmother?" She's everything. She's my life. I was like, she's my hero. I've always wanted to be like her. She taught me everything I know. She said, "What do you think it's going to do to you when she dies?" Felt like my heart stopped in my chest because I knew she was going to die, but I didn't accept that she was going to die. I denied it to myself. So when I had to face it, I wasn't ready. I wasn't. I was not thinking about it. I wasn't thinking about why she would do things. I wasn't focused on any of that. And I thought I was gonna, I think that was one of my first panic attacks ever. I didn't even know what it was. I thought I was having a heart attack. And I sat down, drank some water, and she said, "Your grandmother is not stupid. Your grandmother loves you more than anybody in this world. You are her everything. You have always been her baby. She never loved anybody, not even Uncle Tom, the way she loved you." I was like, "Yeah, well, she never said it." She's like, "Michelle, please." She said, we don't do that." She was like, "We weren't raised that way. You didn't say those things." She said, "But she knows if she dies and you're not mad at her, that you're going to be depressed and you're going to be, completely grief stricken." She was like, "I've made my peace with, my mother passing away." She was like, "Because I've been there, every time she got sick." I was like, "Yeah, you were there and I took care of her. So, what the hell is that?" I was like, "You get the nice treatment. Uncle Tom gets the nice treatment and I get a kick in the ass and the disgusted face. I don't have enough problems with my self-esteem." And she said she did that so it won't hurt as much when she's gone. And that was very insightful of my mother. Very insightful. And all I can say is my grandmother was absolutely fucking stupid for taking that route. Because I didn't love her any less. It didn't soften the blow of losing her. All it did was made me question how she felt about me, and now she's gone and I can't reconcile it. So thanks again for another conflict that I can't fucking close a chapter on. So it's like these people love to do this shit to me. And I was like, all right, why? But why push me away? Guess who does that now? Yep, this girl right here. As soon as I start feeling vulnerable, as soon as I start feeling like somebody is under the armor with me, where they could get at all the fleshy bits and hurt me and just take me out of the game, I throw a fit. I push them away. I start getting mean. I start finding little things that they do wrong and obsessing about them so that I can move away quickly and it won't bother me. I've always done that. Even my husband, Billy, all of them, they did what they wanted to do, but I was always the one that left them. They would be happy to continue for years just having the relationship they had with, whatever pitfalls or whatever. No. Once I'm done, I'm done. But I always left them. If I had friends who were acting completely out of character and across the street, this butchagaloop across the street that with her fucking fentanyl bullshit and all that, I couldn't deal with it. Because when I tried to unalive myself, she's the one I called so that she could stop me from doing something stupid. And she said she was tired. All right. Like, the balls. Like, she didn't care. She was wrapped up in her own shit, whatever. She was living her little fantasy life. But I did have people that came over eventually. I stopped myself. I put the brakes on and I said, "You idiot. What are you doing? You got 2 kids. What are you doing?" And I tried to do the denial thing. I tried to rationalize and say, "Oh, well, they're almost grown. Katie will go to my uncle or she'll go to mommy and Connor can stay with Uncle Tom. He would love to, live down the shore and fish and whatever, even though he hates my uncle." I even thought maybe my cousin Jennifer would take them or my cousin Jessica, like somebody in my family would take them. They all love my kids. I'm the one they hate. They love my kids. And that's great for me, but I wasn't willing to leave it up to chance. Nobody was going to protect them the way I could. Nobody was going to love them the way I could, the way I did, the way I do. So I couldn't leave them with my mother. Even grown, I was afraid that she would have some kind of weird effect on them. I don't know, not feed them or forget them or whatever. But I wasn't going to let what happened to me ever happen to them at any point. It makes it hard to let go of them, to let them go off on their own or whatever. But, we're getting there. I have to deal with my issues, my abandonment issues, my distorted image of myself in my head. Because, like, I know I'm pretty. I know I'm pretty. But that's not what I hear in my head. I tear myself down more than anybody else. That's why when people insult me, it's a little bit like, that's the best you got? I did better than that this morning. And I'm still, here. Like, I still talk to myself. I berate myself. It's what I do. It's how I cope. But I really do think that part of what grandma was going through was denial when it came to my father. She couldn't handle it. It's almost like you look at something and you just can't believe what your eyes are seeing. And he wasn't there to take the heat for it. And so there I was, a very convenient target. And she was pissed. And she was scared. And one thing my family does when they're scared is overreact. Every one of them. Oh, melodramatic to the core. I don't know where they get that from. I mean, thank God it skipped me. But anyway, yeah, I just think she was so far in denial about it that screaming at me and, taking her fear out on me was the only thing she knew how to do. And years later, it became a weapon. You're old, you're helpless. She knows she can't like physically make me do it, what she wants or see what she sees. So she do it verbally, which is with me much more effective. You could punch me right in the face. All I'm going to do is punch you back. I might even laugh at you. But words? Oh no, you'll cut my heart out. But then again, I'm not exactly low on words. So you throw some at me, I'll throw some better ones back at you. Let's take a little look at chat since I was on a little tangent. But I needed to get that out and tell everybody, yeah, it's great that you're all like mad at her. I thank you for the concern. I really do. I appreciate it. There haven't been enough people in my life that were mad about how I was treated and how I grew up. It's always this mentality of, oh, it's in the past. Suck it up. Suck it up? Okay. Let me torture you for a couple years and see exactly how you like it. You know, there are ways to hurt somebody physically that don't leave marks. I know. I know most of them. It is what it is. You know, I'll get it all out eventually. That's not even the stuff that bothers me. I can handle pain. Shame is different. You can forget pain. You could knock it, out of your mind. You could turn it into butterflies if you fucking want. But shame, you don't escape shame. And it's very, very hard to get rid of. There's almost like no counter to it that I know of. So thanks, Graham. Like, thanks, Danny. Danny's my father, by the way. Donato Nicholas. That was his name. Donato. Yeah. Sounds like a donut. And donut spelled backwards is stunad, and that's what he was. But yeah, that's why I call him the fat bastard. I wonder if I kind of want to show you guys something. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Yeah, my father's not he wasn't a nice looking man. He wasn't gentle, he wasn't kind. But everybody, I mean, he was definitely a narcissist without a doubt. And he had quite a few other disorders that he could fall back on if that one decided to take a breather for the day. But he was a covert narcissist. Everybody outside of my mother and me and my family knew what he was like. Like no, everybody outside of didn't know what he was like. They thought he was like, I mixed my words up. I apologize. They thought he was, this jovial, generous, really fun kind of party guy. He knew all these celebrities, and he'd take them to parties in New York, and they'd go and they do photography because, of course, he owned a photography studio. My mother was a photographer. He was actually a very, very good photographer, but he was lazy. So there's that. I know I have pictures of him. I didn't have any, and unfortunately, some family found out on that side that I didn't have pictures of him. I don't know how they got that information, but I soon had pictures of him in the mail, which, let me tell you, if you're not expecting them, can mess you up a little bit. So, yeah, there was that. I have them. I just wish I knew where. I have so many pictures that are so useless, and I will not get rid of them. You ever do that? Go through like your digital stuff, and it's just like, why am I doing this? Why do I do this all the freaking time? Well, I don't know where they are, so I'm not gonna mess with it. Screw it. I gave him enough time. But in chat, listening in the background. Hey. Who else is here? You got Eris T-Rex. What's up, T-Rex? How you doing? Winning Reality. By the way, Eric Malter from the Whitney trial is being interviewed by the Grassroots Army today. Wow. All right. Hey, Caitlin. Good morning. How are you? Oh God, what happened? Anytime I open anything else up, my microphone decides to like flake out. Outpost said I lost my grandmother in October of 2006, and it wasn't until Christmas when it hit me like a freight train. Yeah, and that can happen. I mean, when Daddy died, First of all, I wasn't allowed to cry because you got to be strong for your mother at 13. Um, I was physically like, they physically told me in those words, do not cry. Your mother's going through a lot. There's no reason for you to cry. Like, I hadn't just lost my dad. So it was like, okay. There are days I don't remember because we didn't sleep for days. We stayed up with his parents every night in our house playing pinochle, which I had never played before, and apparently I'm very good at. But then again, I'm good with cards. Grandma always said that. Lucky in cards, unlucky in love, and that would be my motto for the rest of my life because it's been true. Um, I don't remember any of that. I don't remember until probably I was mid-October when I was back in school. It was my 8th grade year, and we were planning the graduation from then because we had to have everything written down because we had to do fundraising and whatever. And I remember that they picked a song. It was there were 2 songs. There was These Are the Times to Remember by Billy Joel and Through the Years by Kenny Rogers. And so they played both of them, and I remember I couldn't stop crying. The dam had broken. They called my grandmother to come get me, and she brought me home, and I locked myself upstairs. The lady on the top floor had passed away, and so the apartment was empty. We hadn't gotten a tenant, and I ran up there. I locked the door, and I was the only one with the key because I grabbed it on my way up. And I locked the door, and then I locked the bedroom door, and then I got in the closet, and I just cried. I screamed, and I cried, and I was 13 years old. What the hell did I know? I was all by myself. This beautiful, wonderful soul who loved me more than anything. No matter what I did, he was gone. And I hadn't dealt with it. I hadn't accepted it. I just kind of walked around like a zombie for months. And nobody cared. As long as I was quiet, we were good. You got to be quiet in my family. Even though they're all loud as shit. But yeah, it took a really long time. And to this day, I'm still not over his death because I didn't process it the way I was supposed to. And I'm not going to go and try to redo it. Yes. Come on. I see you winning. Let's go. I don't know if he's just there for comfort or what. Okay. He's just going to sit there and distract me. It's fine. You're lucky. Outpost Nerd said, when she passed, I shut down. I just cut myself off from any external stimuli. And there he went. It was just a lump. The pictures are in there. Okay. Thank you very much. I'm not going to open them up now, though. I'll find them later because I know my mic is going to go all wonky. I really don't know, guys, why that happens, but it happens. Anyway, so that leads us all to what I was living in. I was living in denial. I wasn't saying that he wasn't gone. It's just I said it in such a detached, remote kind of way that it's like it didn't really exist for me. So I did quite a bit of research for this for you guys because I don't like denial. I think it's extremely harmful. I think that when people can't face things, it's allowed to fester and it grows. It doubles and triples, and until it grows unmanageable and so overwhelming, you feel like it's going to kill you. And some people just can't take it. Is my mic okay again? Because I shut everything down but Chrome to be in StreamYards. It only does that with StreamYards for some reason, ever since the update. I don't know why. But here we go. All right. So denial is the conscious rejection of reality. It's a little, it's a little funny because that's the rejection of reality. And what I'm trying to do is face reality. And who do I meet? Somebody called winning reality. So maybe that was an omen for my future. Maybe I'd be winning reality too, because so far, not so much. So denial is a defense mechanism so that you don't have to acknowledge problems and facts and experience that are unpleasant. It's not just an unpleasantness. They're deep seated and they're just something they have elements of fear to them, or they have elements of loss. They're things you absolutely cannot handle in that moment. And you use denial to be able to say, no, 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 no. Like, if I don't say it, it's not real. And if you think about it, that's probably why I can't get the words out about my father. My throat closes up completely. It feels like I'm going to choke to death. I can't say anything. And I think that's because once I say it, it's real. And I have to accept that, yes, I went through that. And see, I know what happened. I know what he did and I know what I went through, but there's still an element of detachment from it because I just don't know that I can handle it. I don't know who I'll be because that is my own personal hell. And I've been going through it. I explained this to somebody the other day. I have been going through this my entire life. I am stuck in the middle of my own personal hell. And I need to come out the other side. It's time. I can't spend the second half of my life here. I can't spend many more days here at all. I want that to be over. I want to deal with it. And I didn't want to deal with it before. It was no, 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 no. I don't have to. I don't la 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 la. Like I just like I don't want to talk about it. And I'd get violent about it. Like, because people would try to make me talk. And if you're coming to me and you're going, oh no, and trying to hug me, you think you're trying to hug me. I think you're trying to squeeze like pain out of me. So it's like, no, I will fight you. I will physically hurt you just to not have to say the things you want me to say. Because it's painful. Nobody wants to be in pain. Can you imagine choosing pain? I'm not masochistic. I don't enjoy pain. I really don't. That's all I've ever really known. I said the other day, the only way to break me down is with tenderness because I don't know what to do with that. I don't know what to do with somebody who's just caring, somebody who wants to be gentle and tender to me, somebody who sees good in me. Like, I don't know what to do with that. That's a completely foreign concept to me in my direction. I'm tender all the time. When somebody needs it, you betcha. I will just open my arms and come on. I'll give you all the comfort you need. I will give you all the gentility you need. And it's easy. It's easy to do that for people. I have never had that. Never. And I don't know what to do with it. Because I know that it'll happen once I let go. Once I say those things and make them real, and I have to feel them. Tender's the only thing anybody's going to have the balls to be. because they won't want to be harsh with me because I'll be shaken. I mean, I'm sure there are people out there who would love to kick the puppy when it's down, but those people can all go fuck themselves because puppy bites. Just saying. And puppy's not by herself anymore. So there's strength in numbers. Their numbers give me more strength than I can ever explain to you. But we'll see, because it's coming. And it's coming quickly. It's almost coming faster than my ex-boyfriend. See? Humor. Gotta have that little dark, crudish humor, because diffuse all the time. Diffuse, deflect, deal. Denial is also the ability to minimize things, and especially the consequences of your actions. Like, you'll go out and say, oh, don't worry about it. Nothing's going to happen. I mean, yeah, it happened, but it was an accident. Nothing. You're fine. You're fine. Don't worry about it. And they run. It's also a way for people to avoid accountability. When you deny that you've done something to yourself and to others, you're doing everyone a disservice, including yourself. You're denying the accountability. You're denying responsibility. You're not growing as a person. I know many people who are poster children for arrested development because they are so stagnated. They're stuck. Their personal growth is so stunted that it would take them years and years and years of therapy to even catch up to where we were in our 20s. And it's sad. Have a good day at school, nerd. Have fun. Love you. Be careful. Be nice to the children. Caitlin, I don't know if you heard me, but I said hi. Hi to the Katie face. Now I got 2 Katie faces. The last reason why denial is used so much is because the person is unwilling to improve things because it would cost them too much. It would cost them their security or their relationships. A lot of people live in denial so that they don't lose people. They believe the lie. And I get that. I get that sometimes you just love somebody so much, you're willing to be ride or die through anything they do. And the only way you get to live with that is by denying that they did it. I get it. I've done it myself. But eventually you have to face it. So there's a couple different things. I ran across this thing where denial comes into narcissistic relationships frequently. It's one of the tools they use to break you down, to isolate you, and to make you think that you're crazy so that you come around to their way of thinking. Now, when you're confronting an abuser, say you had a run-in with somebody, you were abused by somebody as a teenager, and you run into them 10, 15 years later, after you've done a lot of, self-introspection and work on yourself, you've been to therapy, you've seen shrinks, and you really put the work in to be better. And one of the steps for you to be better is to confront these people and to talk it out. I've done that. The guy who raped me when I was 15, I had to see him all the time. I did hit him with my car twice, which felt really good, but not when he confessed to what he did. That was when he was still being a dick and saying, he could still do it whenever he wanted. And he had the nerve to stand in front of my car. And I was like, let me go or I'm going to hit you with my car. And he was like, you bitch, you'd never hit me with, boop. And I hit him. And he went over, and then I backed up and hit him again. And it felt good. God, it felt good. I'd never done that. I never fought back against him like that. And I mean, I'd yelled at him. I took swings at him if he took swings at me, but hitting him with that car, Lord. Hi, I just got to work. I'm exhausted. I cannot stay awake on this ungodly drive. It's a struggle. The struggle's real. I hate my job. Well, you hate your job, but we love you. So please be careful. I hope you have a wonderful day. Get some caffeine in your system and get to bed on time tonight. No more kibitz until late. We all got to get a better sleep schedule because, God, we're like zombies. Winning reality denial is the first phase of the victim future survivor. The victim future survivor goes through when the narcissist's mask come off. Yeah. So there's actually 4 types of denial that they employ. These are the 4 most common. There's many types, but there are 4 common types. So one of the types is a denial of fact. And that's where they refuse to acknowledge any inappropriate act, anything that they've done. Caitlin, I went to bed at 8:30 last night. Don't yell at me. I was good. Oh, you were a good girl. Good girl. You get a cookie. Wouldn't give her a cookie. Hey, Kibitzen late is my, I don't even know. I didn't know you knew how to spell kibitz. It's my natural state. Good girl, Caitlin. So that's a refusal to acknowledge, what they did, what happened, facts. Like if somebody cheats on you and they have the nerve to turn around and be like, no, I didn't have sex with her. I didn't cheat on you. I would never. Really? Like that's a denial of fact. And then they make you think you're crazy. You're like, dude, I got receipts. I have pictures. You could have video of it. It doesn't matter. They will cling to that denial probably till the day they die. There's cookies here. Fallstorm, there's always cookies. God, always cookies. I believe in rewarding the good. And you. They're virtual cookies, but enjoy as many as you want. They have no calories. I'm going to take a nap now. Remember, I'm proud of you and I love you. Thank you, T-Rex. I'm proud of you and I love you too. Caitlin, I need all the cookies. I guess I know what's for lunch. Girl, when I move down south, we'll have weed cookies for dinner. Fuck that. Yeah, so I've never gotten a reward for being good, Shelly. I doubt that. You had girlfriends. I'm sure they rewarded you for good behavior. Trust me, they rewarded you. All right. I'm not reading chat now till I'm done. So one of the things that they usually say is like, you could be like, oh, you screamed at me and you were in the kitchen, you threw that thing and you scared me and it almost hit me in the head. It missed my head by like an inch. These are all facts. It's a factual recollection of the event. And they will look you dead in the eye and say, that never happened. You must have dreamed that. It's like, oh, yeah, no consequence cookies. They're the best kind. I should have had no consequence sex, the imaginary kind. Then I just would have never cared about any of this. Denial of impact is the second one. And that's the minimization of the victim's trauma. That's telling them, oh, you're making a big deal out of nothing. It was no big deal. People do it all the time. Like, I don't know what you're making such a fuss about. You take everything so, to grant, so personally. Like, you're so sensitive. You're oversensitive. And they're telling you what happened and how you should feel and why it's your fault. So in with that denial, they've now snuck in the deflection and the blame. So now they get, 3 aspects of how they're going to re-abuse you. Because this is your abuser from before. Don't forget that you're confronting. All they're going to do is just, they're going to go back to their playbook. Denial, disassociation, taking somebody apart, They do the love bombing. They're like, no, it wasn't a big, come on, I would never do that to you. I know we've been apart a really long time, but don't you remember what it was like? Don't you remember the good times? Do you remember all the fun we had? And they'll pick like your best memory and they'll bring that shit up because God forbid you were happy with them at one time and you were so miserable as well. And what they do is they focus on that happy thing, hoping you'll forget the rest, that it's going to outshine all the darkness. But it doesn't. It really doesn't. I'm proud of T-Rex too. Being a beta ain't easy, but he's doing fine. Oh, damn. Damn. I apologize for reading that out loud before I read it. Sorry, T-Rex. Anyway, being a true beta is much better than being, a delta, because we figured out what a delta was and they suck. Then you have denial of accountability. And that is avoiding the responsibility for the misdeed or the lie or the abuse. And you've heard this a million times in your life, probably. Oh, I didn't sleep, so I was really snappish. Oh, I was drunk, so I didn't know what I was doing. Oh, you were drunk, so I remember what happened, but I think you were a little too out of it. So it's a constant thing with them. It wasn't my fault. It wasn't me. You were there. You're part of it too. You could have stopped me at any time. You could have this, you could have that. I didn't do it. It wasn't me. I don't know what you're talking about. And no, I wasn't even there. Well, I mean, you knew that I had a headache. I took a couple pills. Maybe I went to sleep. I didn't know what I was saying. You were probably talking to me when I was asleep. You know not to talk to me when I first wake up. These are all things that they say because they're excuses. It gives them the ability to just not be responsible for their own actions and words. Because there's always a but. Oh, I might have done that, but, but I was drunk, but I was high, but I was sleepy, but I was in a bad mood. But you started with me when you knew I was, cranky. But, you took my happy mood and you ruined it with your bad news. Everything is someone else's fault. There is absolutely no accountability. And there won't be because they can't ever face up to the things that they do. Because if you think they did that to you, trust me, they've done it to plenty of other people before you. And they'll do it to many after. And they will never, ever stand up and say, yeah, it's my fault. I did it. I'm sorry. That apology will never come. Never. If they issue any kind of apology at all, it's part of the plan. It's the whole, oh, yeah, oh, I'm so sorry. They're not. But those are the words you have to hear to forgive them so that they can do it to you again. Because, let's have a little more fun with them. Volstorm said the opposite end of that is just as bad. Yes. When they're batshit and tell you this crazy story that never happened. Oh, yeah. No, there is that. There absolutely is that. They twist it and turn it, and suddenly you're the bad guy. Oh, believe me, I know that one well. I've been accused of doing all these things that these people did, but it's like, okay, you can keep just running your mouth. People know me. They know how I am. I'm very honest about who I am. I'm very authentic. Is it always pleasant for me to be me? Not for you guys. I mean, I enjoy it, but it might be unpleasant for some people. And then there's the last kind, the denial of hope. That's the one that I really hate. It's the refusal to do the work that's necessary to fix or improve the situation so that everyone can move forward and move on. It's probably one of the most selfish denials that you can have. That's saying, well, that's just how it is. Well, take it or leave it. That's who I am. No, that's not who you are. That's not who you were. So then who you were isn't who you are. And now I got to get used to who you are. rather than who you were. And I don't know who you're going to be. So what the fuck? It's a very Edith Bunker kind of like conversation that these people will have with you. Sup, Savage Jacob Castro. They'll say things like, you know what? There's no point in bringing up the past. Now, if you're there to confront your abuser, the past is what you got because you cut them out of your life, hopefully. And hopefully they'll stay cut out of your life. But they don't want to talk about any of that. They think you're crazy for trying to reconcile that. Oh, that was 10 years ago. Why do we have to talk about it now? Because you traumatized me. And that trauma lasted until today. And now I'm going to spoon food it back to you, whether you like it or not. And that's what you have to do with any kind of abuser. You know, if you're going to confront them, you can't let them slip into their little denial land where it's all excuses, alibis, and bullshit. You have to tell them, no, listen, that I don't care what you have contrived in your head, what you dreamed up, but that's not how it was. These are the facts, and always go with the facts. Don't bother going with emotion. They don't know what emotion does. These are people who can't feel love. They can say they love them. They can say, "Oh, I love my friends. I love my family." They don't. They don't give a fuck. They don't love their family, which is why they're usually estranged from their family. They don't love their spouses, which is why their spouses usually, suffer from depression, low self-esteem, low libido, and eventually they leave them. And they don't love their kids. They can put on a little facade, but they're not really invested in their kids. They're more invested in, like, who else can I use? Who else is going to make me feel like a better person? Make me feel like a success when I know I'm a loser. Like, that's what you're dealing with. So it really bothers me when people take away that hope for things to get better, because you're like, all right, you already did this to me. I have an opportunity to move on. If we could just sit and talk this out, and if you would just cop to your part in it. I'm not saying I was completely, blameless, but your part was so much more hateful. It was so much more hurtful and so much more intentional than anything I've ever done. And you want them to say, yeah, I fucked up. I was a dick to you. I hurt you. But they're never going to do that. And all they're going to do is say, I don't want to talk about this. Why would you bring this up? Why does it matter now? I'm so important to you. Then it's, because that's, of course, what they hear. They hear, I'm so important in your life that I'm still affecting you. That's an ego boost for them. You got to pop that little fucking balloon right then and there. Be like, no, I'm not thinking about you. I'm worried about me. I matter. You don't mean shit. You are just a consequence of me making bad decisions in my life. That's all they are. They're garbage. Get the confession, throw them away. People like that, you have to cut ties. There's no hanging around and being, friendly, because it's always going to be sniping and backbiting and just people it's ugly. It's ugly and it's unfortunate and it's unnecessary. You guys, you all deserve more than that. We all do. Denial allows us to begin to process information that is unpleasant or unsettling. It's the mind's effort to cope with traumatic information and events. And some things you'll hear is, oh, he's fine. He's a good husband. He would never cheat on me. Of course, he would never hit me. He would never hit me without reason. That's the one that sticks in my fucking craw, because I've actually said that. I've said, well, I got a mouth on me. I made an excuse for him. He was drunk and he started a fight with me, and it's not really his fault. I shouldn't have said what I said. I don't give a fuck what I said. Nobody gets to hit me. But I didn't know that then. I couldn't accept that then. Because if I didn't accept that, if I didn't live in that little denial bubble of mine Where no. It's not that he wants to hurt me. It's just it's a thing that happened. It happens to people. What would I have had to accept if I didn't have that denial? I'd have to accept that my husband liked to hit me. I couldn't deal with that. I had to live with him. We were together even after our divorce because Katie had to have surgeries, and I did not have the physical strength to pick her up every day and put her in the bathtub or do this or do that. I mean, I did it, but I mean, I had him for help. That ended very badly. Hi, Grimmy. What's up? Um, it's it was easier for me to deny the fact that he was an abusive prick and an alcoholic than it was for me to accept that I married an abusive asshole and an alcoholic. And I allowed him into my life. I allowed him close to my kid, not realizing how much danger she could have been in. That was my fuck up, my failure. So I lived in denial for a little bit. And then I couldn't deny it anymore. Then it was just, okay, you signed up to be this kid's mom. She didn't sign up to be your daughter. You got to do better. And I did. I faced a lot of my demons, and I faced him and said, hey, you're a dick. Like, I can't believe you did that. And I left him. I packed him up. Well, I beat the shit out of him, and I ruined most of his stuff. But I mean, I packed up his stuff and I got him out, and I was home 2 weeks later. Because when I make a decision, I stick to it, come hell or high water. But I needed that denial. You hear parents all the time, oh no, that was not my kid. My kid would never do that. Really? Your kid spends most of the time with the nanny and you're really into like your job and everything. So are you sure? If not, completely certain, deny. They're not just denying it just to not get in trouble. They're denying it because they can't accept the fact that there's shitty parents who weren't paying the fucking attention. That's a big red flag right there. That kind of denial hurts so many people because they're not being a mother. They're not being a father. They're just kind of, paying for the place where this kid's going to grow up. They're not contributing to it. But when the kid gets in trouble, as they inevitably will when the parent is, neglectful or absent. Oh, no, not my Timmy. No, not my son. Not my daughter. Oh, a whole bunch of girls went out and got, laid in the woods. Not my daughter. Your daughter was the ringleader. Who you kidding? But they can't handle that. Here's a one that I know really well. No, she would never do that. No, we're friends. She would never stab me in the back. She would never talk about me like that. She would never betray me. Bitch, please. People betray each other all the time. Are they going to admit to it? No. Could I, like if that was me, could I admit it to myself in that moment? Probably not. No. Because you don't want to believe that someone you trust and love would do you like that. It's painful. It's not only the blow to your heart and to your pride because now you look stupid for trusting this person, but it's the broken trust that really does the damage because you're like, how did I fall for this? And they passed all the tests. I told them everything. I love them like, a brother or a sister. You open yourself up to somebody and then they betray you and you don't want to open up again. So you deny that they, would ever do it. Because not only were you betrayed, now you have to grieve because you just lost a friend. Someone you considered a friend. Obviously, they were not really your friend, but you were theirs. So that's still a relationship that's broken to pieces. And it usually can't go back. Sometimes you can get beyond it, but there are things that can't be forgotten. They can't be ignored. By the way, I know I'm reading this, but it's because I wrote it out because I've been up since 4-ish. Denial is an essential step in the grieving process, allowing the person to take a minute to digest what they're being forced to face. And you've heard it. You've heard the no, 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 no. No, there's no way he's dead. I just saw him. How many times have you heard somebody say that? And people always say, why do people say that? I just saw him. Like, who cares? That's part of the denial. It's, I just saw him. How could he be gone when I just saw him and he looked fine? You know, I saw him jogging. I saw him walking the dog. I saw him driving his truck. I saw him, taking his mother to the bank or whatever. Like, you have all these memories that I just saw him. Because it's really hard for us to see and accept that a person who worked all their life to be who they are is suddenly just gone. All that work gone. All that potential, that love, that comfort that you get from that person, it's all gone. And it happens so quickly sometimes that you're disoriented. And what denial does is it gives you a little bit of a beat. So you could take a breath and your mind can say, hey, this is a lot. This is this is breaking me. I can't deal with this right now. And your brain goes, okay. And sometimes without your permission, it will just take you in another direction. It will employ the self-defense mechanism of denial, because what denial can do is it can lead you to what's called fantastical thinking, where now you have broken already to a point where you create an alternate reality, and that becomes your reality, the only one that you'll admit to. You're in denial that the real reality exists. That's why it's called rejection of reality. And you live in this weird little bubble that you create for yourself. And you have codependent people, you have enablers, they come into the bubble with you and they're willing to support you in that. They're willing to go, oh, she just can't deal. So just don't mention it. Do not mention any of that. You got to support her. You got to back her up. Whatever she says, we're going to back her up. And that's how, that's how group mentality is. That's what I call the narcissists flying monkeys, because they're willing to say, oh yeah, they'll fabricate things. They'll even convince themselves. They'll happily enter into that state of fantastical denial, where now this is the ultimate truth. And it's no longer what actually happened. It's what they think happened. That's the only truth they're willing to accept. And that's denial. That's deep-seated denial. There's in my life, I I said denial in my life. So there are statements that I gave you to relate to for denial. And in my life, I've heard all of these so many times, including the ones that I already stated. You're not crazy. You're just sad. You're just sad. You'll be fine. Go do something you'll enjoy. When you're in that state, there's nothing you enjoy. Nothing's going to make you happy. And I've been told many times, you're not crazy. You're not depressed. You're just a little sad. Everybody gets the blues. Suck it up, Michelle. Really? Okay. You're fine. You're fine. Everybody, she's fine. She just took a couple pills too many. That was what my mother said when I OD'd on Motrin, on prescription Motrin that I had for my back. Every one of those pills was 800 milligrams, and I had 8 bottles of them. Granted, a lot of them wound up on my bed and on the floor, and they got puked up, but it still was enough to, take down a good size crazy person. And I was not a good size. I was like maybe 110 pounds. And I chased it with liquor. So yeah, I was determined. But my mother said, she's fine. She just took a couple pills too many. She's young. That was the answer. And in her head, that's what I did. Because she couldn't deal with what I actually tried to do. Because it was her fault. She was also partly to blame. She wasn't going to accept that responsibility. Never. That would never happen. No, not my mother. Mm-mm. No, my attempted unaliving was my way of embarrassing her and humiliating her and the whole family so that they think she's a bad mother. How dare I? How dare I do something so life-changing and possibly permanent just to make her look bad? God, what a horrible daughter I must be. Here's another one. I didn't know what he was doing. Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. Maybe you couldn't deal with what he was doing, but you let me deal with it. I don't know many 3-year-olds who can deal with that. I don't want to know any that ever have to. I wish it wasn't a thing. Maps go on the wall. And I can't even sugarcoat what he was. He wasn't a map. He wasn't a minor attracted whatever. No, he was a friggin' sick bastard who had a thing for kids. And that's how he got himself off. And he didn't give a shit about anybody. Anybody. But himself. Michelle, that never happened. You dreamed it. I would never cheat on you. Oh, so I didn't see what I saw with my own eyes. Oh, okay. Sure. I'll just be a jerk and say, all right, you just keep lying to me. No, we're done. I saw what I saw and we're done. And then they'd go around and tell everybody what a psycho I was, even though I never bothered with them. Once I, slam the door, I'm done. You could talk all the shit you want. It's not going to affect me. I'm not going to fucking come back at you. Oh, this was a fun one. I'm not an alcoholic. Yeah. When my husband, because we had 2 apartments in Kansas, because he moved there first. So we were I think 5 months apart. So his lease had to run out. And he only had a 1-bedroom and I needed room. So I got my own apartment. Fuck it. And when he was supposed to move back in with me, he was like, can you just clean up the apartment a little bit? Because I hadn't been there in months. I walked in and he had a girl there once. I was like, I looked at him, I looked at her, and I was like, yeah. Have fun paying your rent this month. Because I paid his rent and mine. So he was like, could you go clean up the apartment for me? I got work. Da, 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 da. I was like, fine, whatever. First of all, when you're an alcoholic, I think you become nose blind and blind. Because I opened that refrigerator and it was like Lord of the Flies in there. I got hit by a swarm of just fruit flies and all these. And he had maggots in there. I was like, nope, closed it. I closed it. I was just like, I opened the patio door, let all the bugs out, but I was not touching that. I was like, fuck it, let them charge me. I didn't clean his oven because I don't know what he melted in there, but it was plastic and stuck to the coils. And I was like, nope, not fucking with that either. I go in the bathroom, vomit everywhere, dried vomit, just everywhere. I was like, how does a person live like this? So I was like, all right, the bedroom wasn't that bad. Living room wasn't that bad. I wasn't cleaning them. Now I'm just investigating because I'm like, screw this. I ain't touching shit. And he had this laundry room where he had the washer, the dryer, the stand up freezer. And it was, I don't know, but he had 10-foot ceilings. They were really, really like high freaking ceilings. And it was about, I don't know, 6, 7 feet wide and about 12 feet deep. Easily could have been another bedroom, just with no windows. And I tried to open the door to go in there. Couldn't get the door open. So, did he lock it? No. I pushed the door really hard and I hear cans hitting one another. And I was like, oh, dear God, please, please don't be what I think you are. And I pushed the door open, and sure enough, there was a mountain starting at the door. I mean, like easily, it was like 4 feet high. Like it was up like to my chin. All these cans came just rushing out because it filled the fucking room. And they were all crushed cans. All of them. It stunk of beer, stale beer, so bad. There were bugs. I swear there were mice in there because the cans were moving on their own. I was like, fuck this. Closed the door. I took my keys. I left. And I was like, you know what? Whatever they charge to clean that place, it's not enough. I was like, because I would just set the whole place on fire. I would set the entire place on fire. It was disgusting. Ah, sweet. So you punished yourself, then finally had enough. I don't know what that's in reference to, but punishing myself is not something I'm unfamiliar with. Me and self-flagellation, self-harm, and self-deprecation, we're old friends. Because I'm willing to take the shot at me before you do. Then I take a shot at you. Because if I'm going to be mean to myself, imagine what I'm going to do to you. So it's like, this was a fun one. Oh, that kid isn't mine. She's lying. It can't be. That was Carlos. Yeah, the rapist who took my virginity. The fact that you married an abusive alcoholic. Yeah, well, you know, I took a vow. I didn't know he was an alcoholic when I married him because he was, he was working all the time. He never acted drunk. He was jacked. It was like, all right, he seemed like a really good candidate for a husband. I wasn't in love with him, but I liked him. I mean, he was nice. We had tons of fun, but I wasn't in the best mental place. So, yeah, I married him. I married him less than 6 months after I met him. I mean, it's not like I just did it in a couple days, but it took a couple months. Oh, this was Carlos too. That wasn't rape. We were together, and I know you were playing hard to get. There's nothing in that statement that's true. The fact that he thought I was playing hard to get. I remember he told me, I know you wanted to say yes, but the way you were raised, he's like, the way you are, you're such a good little girl. You had to pretend to say no. No, bitch. No is no. Like, but to him, it wasn't. To him, no was, oh, I really want to do it because that's what he wanted me to say. And then there's, of course, my mother with her denial. I was a good mother. I didn't do anything wrong. None of your problems are my fault. Listen, at least I tell my kids I did my best, but I know I fucked up and I know I fucked you up in some areas, and that's what therapy is for, and we will deal with it. But I'm not going to say I didn't do it. I did my parenting on a learning curve by myself. Yeah. So it's like, mm. Now the effects of denial. People don't really think about what denial leads to. Not only does it destroy people's lives around you, but you can develop maladaptive behaviors such as engaging in unhealthy behaviors, promiscuity, drug use, reckless behavior, high adrenaline activities, which is the thrill seekers. And you can allow bad situations to continue completely unchecked. When bad situations are unchecked, they have a tendency to escalate. They snowball, they get worse, they include more people. Problems compound and they stack up until now they're overwhelming and they're detrimental not just to your mental health, but to your physical health. They can wreck your life. They can affect your work. They can affect everything, right down to how you digest your food. The one thing I didn't expect was to develop a nervous stomach. I never had that as a kid. I never had that as a teenager. It just, when I'd get a substitute teacher, my stomach would hurt a little bit, but then it would go, that was just nerves. But as an adult, conflict and high emotions where I feel trapped or attacked, now it triggers a response where I'll do whatever I need to do that day to like face that, but then for the next like 2 days, I'm sick as a dog. Sick as a dog. Can't keep anything down, can't keep anything in. So it's just like, I never knew that you could develop something like that, but apparently, you could. Denial leads to people acting in certain ways. I would not have probably done half the things I did in my life if I hadn't lived in denial of the things that came before. If I could have faced them when I should have faced them, then I think I would have made better decisions later on because I would have been more emotionally aware. I would have been more healed. I would have been more self-aware. But that was something after my marriage, when I came back, I was determined to learn self-awareness, to learn, self-mindedness. I needed to know what was going on in my head. Hello, Darth. How are you? That's wonderful. He said, well, if you weren't such a giant piece of shit. Yeah, that's great. Thank you, Darth. I appreciate that. You can go now anytime you want. Or you can stay. Have a listen. All are welcome. Now, see, you threw off my chain of thought. Where was I? Damn it. Oh, such typical. God, you're such a liar. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Go have another drink. Here's the thing. Denial. I love it. Because people treat you a certain way. They say things to you. And then when you tell someone that you can't take it, they turn around and call you a liar. Okay. It's awesome. Awesome. You know what? Let's not break this down. Just ban him because he's not worth it. I'm not dealing with this bullshit. This is not denial. This is me saying, go fuck yourself. See, I don't bother nobody and they just got to come and start shit. Where was I? Where was I? Where was I? Limited self-awareness. That's part of it. When people have limited self-awareness, they conceal the information from themselves because they can't deal with the stress that facing it would bring them. So in order for them to keep living their lives and keep things going smoothly, they deny it, or they confabulate it into something else, or they adopt this story that they say so many times to so many different people that they actually, they believe it. They don't see the holes in the shit, but it's like whatever. Um Denial is an escape. And I mean, that's mainly what we use it for. We use it to have a way out of the darkness, to have a way out of what we're trying to, process, but can't seem to deal with at the time. Because say you get into a car accident and someone dies, you're not only dealing with the fact that you had this traumatic impact with this huge amount of fear, huge amount of risk, you were in a highly dangerous situation, but now a life has ended because of it. Now, can you deal with that or not? Is it a life of someone that you care about, that was with you, that you were responsible for? Or is it dealing with somebody else? Like, say you killed someone in another car. You just took a life. Maybe it wasn't all your fault, but you're still involved. And on so many different levels, you're going to tell yourself, no, 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 no. No, 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 no. No, no. Like that, no, that wasn't my fault. It wasn't my fault. Nobody got hurt. I'm fine. I'm fine. Don't touch me. I'm fine. Because you're rallying in your head to go, no, no, no. 5 minutes ago, none of this existed. 5 minutes ago, they were alive. 5 minutes ago, my car was fine. Like you can't make the transition because it's too quick and it's too much. So denial acts as an escape from that so that you can maybe not in the bad ways where you're denying it so you get away with it. You're denying it so you can digest it in smaller bits. And that's when it's helpful. If you see somebody, no, 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 you don't hit them with the whole truth. You just, you offer comfort. You try not to touch them sometimes because that could set them off. And you just say, hey, do you know what happened? Can you tell me what happened? Because their version, their perception is what's going to be important in that moment. What's done is done. But now you got to know what you're dealing with. You got to know what mental state they're in. And often when people have a mental break, they will slip into a form of denial. And usually that's the fantastical form of denial where they will recreate the event in their head completely different. It's a sophisticated defense mechanism that's used by the mind to protect you from pain like an invisible shield. So what I read, one of the things that really jumped out at me is your mind is so conflicted as to what it can accept and what it's seeing that it's just going against one another. So your own mind is battling to see which side is going to win out. Like, she could deal with it. No, she can't. She could deal with it. No, she can't. And they come to almost like a compromise. That's when the story fleshes out by the mind. That's when the brain tells you, you're not seeing what you're seeing. No, no, close your eyes. I'm going to tell you what you saw. I'm going to replace that image. And the mind is a very powerful thing. It can do that. It can temporarily, and when I say temporarily can last 5, 6, 7, 8 decades. It's not permanent. It can be removed. It might not be removed, but it wasn't put there to be permanent. It was put there to be temporary. It becomes permanent because the person won't deal with it. So what you have is you have this thing where your brain is saying, okay, this happened. She can't accept it. We could tell her this happened. No, that's too much. And it very quickly works out a scenario that's acceptable for you, that seems realistic, something you can, something you can, I hate to say the word, but swallow, something you can digest. It's more palatable to you than the truth. Denial manifests in things like rationalization. We've all done that. We've all made excuses for ourselves so that we can, you know, say everything, um, so we can say everything's okay. I did it for a reason. It wasn't good, but I did it for a reason. You know, oh, that person hurt me, but I hurt them back, but only because they hurt me. No, you hurt them back because you wanted revenge. You wanted a little of your own back. Cop to it. It's a human emotion. It's a human instinct. You hurt me, I hurt you. Most of the world runs like that. But when you hurt me and I go, okay, that's different. That's having the victimhood, where you get stuck. And I know so many people out there who they languish in the victimhood because they live in denial. They can't face it. And you just want to shake them sometimes and tell them, no, that's not what happened. You have to wake up from this. You're destroying your life. Wake up. You have a chance. There's time. I mean, how many of us have said that to people that we love? People with drug addictions, alcohol addictions, sex addictions, people in bad relationships, people with narcissists, people who are narcissists, abusers, people who've been abused. Everybody gets told, no, this is not the way. Like, do you not see what you're doing? To us, it's obvious most of the time. To them, it's not. So denial. Oh, did I really do all that? Oh, you guys are going to be so happy. We're almost done. So denial can be hard to maintain in the face of truth, which is why it's so important when you go to therapy and stuff like that. They say, okay, tell me what you remember and tell me what other people are telling you. Like, what have you heard? Is there a counter to your recollection? Does somebody else have a different perspective where something else might have happened? I'm not saying they're correct, but let's unpack what they said and look at it from their perspective, because you have to be gentle about it most of the time. I know people who've been hit with the truth like a 2x4 to the face, and it didn't go well. It just didn't. They cracked more than before, and some of them unalived themselves. When it came to my father, I blocked all those memories for so many years. I couldn't figure out why I had no childhood memories, just pictures that I had in a photo album. Those were the only memories I had, and I couldn't tell you what was happening in those pictures. I couldn't remember them. I just lived in a denial state that it was like, all right, everything was fine. I just don't remember. Me, the one who forgets nothing. But I didn't remember 15 years of my life until I did. In about 5 seconds, maybe. Full surround sound, smell, taste, hearing it. The worst was the touch memory. That was the worst. I could still feel his hands on me now. It doesn't go away. It just doesn't. But something in me broke, and my brain decided, okay, might as well just let her have it all. And I remembered it all. I remembered birthdays. I remembered the good and the bad. There was so much more good than there was bad, but the bad was on such a level that it could not be overshadowed by good memories. It just couldn't. Not at that time. And I chewed on those memories for months until I couldn't take it. I couldn't deny it. The truth was right there in my head, playing like a fucked up movie on super high speed over and over and over. Then it became like a highlights reel of the worst times in my childhood. All of that. So it's like I couldn't handle it. I could not handle it. And so I unalived myself because I didn't see any way out. I had no help. But the truth was there. And I was staring at it. It was staring me in the face. And I couldn't run from it anymore. I had to feel all those things. I had to hear all those things. And I couldn't take it. And I did something stupid. Anybody that's ever listening to this, any of my streams, most of them I mentioned, don't do something permanent for a temporary problem. It's not going to solve anything. You're going to hurt more and more and more people if you do that. If you hurt people by telling the truth, fuck them. Fuck them. Because most likely they had some inkling that something was going on. Everybody knows who the funny uncle is that you don't let the kids near at Christmas. Everybody knows the relative who drinks too much and you're like, oh, he's drinking. Don't let the kids in there. Because But then, the adults say, oh, well, he's family. Fuck that. Get out. To me, you're cut right out of my family when you cross that line. Bye. I'd like to cut you out of existence. But I don't, because it's not my place. But that doesn't mean I'm going to let you near anybody that I love. I'm not going to let you hurt anybody. Facing that truth led me down a very dark road. The unaliving was just part of it. I turned into this rage monster because I had all this information. And you know what I figured out? Everybody knew. And nobody did a fucking thing to protect me. That little girl was all on her own. And part of me hated her. I hated her for being little. I hated her for being weak, for not being able to, I don't know, stab him in the neck or something to get him to go away. I hated her. I blamed her. But it wasn't her fault. I mean, I know that now. It was his fault. He was the perverse, evil, disgusting monster that, they tell you, the monster's in the closet, the monster's under the bed. No, my monster was my father. No Hollywood monster could ever scare me the way he did. Could ever terrorize me the way he did. The way he still does. And the son of a bitch has been dead for over 20 years. Not over 20 years. I'm sorry. It'll be 20 years on New Year's Eve. I'm looking forward to that celebration. I am going to whoop, whoop. Like, yes. That's what I love about New Year's Eve. It's the day he died. Awesome fucking day. And I'm going to celebrate it. He celebrated killing off the life of that little girl in me. Whatever innocence I had was gone long before, I even reached school age. The denial of what he did and facing it, the shame that went with it, the shame of what Carlos did added to it. I was ruined. The life I always wanted was gone. Every dream, every good thing that I worked my life toward. I didn't study to be, some great like businesswoman or whatever. I studied really hard because I wanted to have something to offer my family. Same way my grandmother did. She was brilliant. I went to her for everything. She always had the answer to every question. And she didn't have the internet. Her internet was in her brain and Helpful Heloise, which was a really good column at the time. But I mean, she had the knowledge to make us better. We relied on her for that kind of thing. And I wanted to do that for my family. I wanted to be able to do all their homework with them. I wanted to be able to, teach them things outside of school. I want to be able to answer questions. Just so you know, guys, I'm not reading chat at all. I'm not even looking at it. I'm not looking at the computer. Because I just want to get through this. And I'm really tired of these fucking people attacking me and calling me names and, saying shit to me. I banned them all from my channel. I blocked them all. I apparently forgot to block Darth, but then again, I don't think of Darth. He's irrelevant. Because everybody likes to lie. It's fine. Lie all you want. Just leave me the fuck alone. Go away. It's ridiculous that I have to deal with this when I've said nothing bad about any of them since this whole shit started. I've been super, super nice about it. Telling everybody, no, I want everybody to succeed. Everybody should, have a full meal, just not at my table. I don't want them at mine. They don't want me at theirs. That's great. Over and done with. Boom. Go your separate ways. The internet and world are huge. Go fuck off into it. But no. Petty people who need attention, like to have their little jokes. I don't give a fuck. Go ahead. Go have your jokes. I don't care. I don't care. You think I said things? I didn't. Got the wrong one. Because unfortunately for you, there's not a shortage of people who dislike you. This is not denial of any kind of fabrication. This is me saying, it wasn't me. So let it go. Anyway. What the denial then, what facing the truth then led to was, of course, the unaliving and then a whole bunch of experimentation. I did not give a shit what I did. I messed with the baddest people I could. I had fights all over the place. I would self-harm. I would pick a fight with somebody twice my size so that I'd get my ass kicked. Because, let's go. I'm a piece of shit. Why not? Let's go. You want to go? We'll go. Everybody says I'm garbage. I'm ruined. Why? Because my father molested me? That's my fault? Have a little look at, your kids. Imagine their fathers doing that to them. Just imagine it. You can't. Because it's too horrific for you to think about. I don't have to think about it. I lived it. Hundreds of times I lived it. So when you judge me, you can go fuck yourself. Nobody gets to judge me. Nobody but God. And since the fat bastard's dead and I'm not, I'm guessing I won this one. It led to, oh yes, experimentation with drugs. Good Lord. I used to go to like different clubs with Nancy and I didn't care what they gave me. If you say, oh, what's it? I don't care what it is. Just pop it right in my mouth. I would take as many drugs as I could because I was walking, with a death wish. I had a death wish because I just didn't see anything in this life worthwhile. Substance abuse is a very common side effect of denial because people that are addicted and people who are their enablers, they have fun. They're like, oh, but we're having so much fun. It's so easy. Yeah, it's easy when you don't have responsibilities. It's fun when you act like an irresponsible kid, but you're an adult. There's some type of um, hiccup in your development if you think this is okay. Fantastic thinking. This is what I talked about before. It's where the denier creates stories and sometimes, believe it or not, entire worlds. Like they'll create people. They'll say that, oh, this person, you know who that is. That person don't exist. It's a representation of someone else in their mind, but because they're in this almost hyperactive kind of state of denial, to them it's real. They have now adopted this new world and decided this is reality. And what they do is they do this so the continuation of the denial becomes possible. They need their narrative to be true. So if nobody else is going to believe them, it doesn't matter. In my mind, it's true. That's what they do. But these are severely damaged people. These are not people that usually are walking around or whatever. I mean, you saw it a little bit with Amber Heard, how she relayed things, but her mind betrayed her because she would say the story and she would say it from her point of view as if she was the victim, but her body would act out the movements of the abuser, not the victim. Because the only perspective she's ever had is doling out the abuse, not taking it. So she would enact it not how they did it, but how she did it. She betrayed herself. Overcoming denial, which is quite important. Overcoming denial is a willingness to admit that the denial exists, which is very difficult. I don't want anybody to go out and be like, oh, you're denying this, you're whatever. Some people deny for their own, benefit, but some people just can't help it. Some people live in that world because they can't live in this one. It's too much for them. It's too overwhelming. It has split their psyche in a way that they cannot survive in the world we live in. This is not a simple case of, oh, they're a liar or they made up a story. This is someone whose reality is completely altered and probably permanent for them, at least until they can have a breakthrough. That's why they call it a breakthrough. You're not just, oh, Eureka, you had a good, thought. No, you have to break out of one reality and back into this one. That's what a breakthrough is. The ability to process information counter to your denial. So if you're given information, if you're slowly fed the truth and you can digest it a tidbit at a time, it's easier for you to pull yourself out of that void that you found yourself in, of that, that blackness where I can't deal, I can't deal, I can't deal. Oh, but I could deal with this little piece. Okay, so this is what happened. Oh, and then this happened. And as you climb out and as you get stronger, as you get more toward a light place, you're able to put the pieces together and see the bigger picture. And it takes time. Some people, it takes decades. I don't think it'll take that long for me because I'm determined to get all this shit out once and for all. Because I've had it long enough. I've held on to it long enough. It has made me angry at times. It has made me hate myself. It has made me hurt myself. It's made me hurt others. It's made me defensive and mean at times. And I mean, I can be cruel, but I always admit to it. I don't turn around and go, oh no, I didn't say it. Bitch, if I said it, I said it. Like, if you think I said something, come at me, tell me. I'll tell you if I said it or not. It's up to you to believe it. I can't be in your head. I can't control your fear. I can't control your ideas. All I can control is what I do, what I say, and what I believe. That's it. Self-reflection and motivation are two ways to combat denial. So if you keep like a record or keep track of inconsistencies that you find, like you'll be telling a story and you're like, wait, no, but that's not possible. You start to see the kinks in your own story and you go, but what, but how did but that happened. How did that happen? And you have to examine it, and you have to examine why this story is so important to you when it could be decades old. You have to look at your motivation for keeping that story going, for keeping that narrative, why you're so dead set on sticking to this when it's not, it's not a good plot. Like, it's not a good storyline. There are plot holes everywhere and you know it, but you can't reconcile with it. And you're just like, all right, I can't make this real yet. What you have to do is keep track. And the more inconsistencies you see, the more likely it is you'll convince yourself that that you can handle it, that you can handle the truth, that maybe all these years was just you cushioning yourself, trying to protect yourself from something so gut-wrenchingly painful, something that you felt destroyed a part of you and you didn't want it to destroy the rest of you. You find coping mechanisms. You go to therapy. You talk to friends. You get it out. I was so messed up Monday from that conversation. And yet when I was talking to Winning later, I said, I feel better. Like I did. I could breathe a little easier. My shoulders weren't up in my ears. I was able to breathe for what felt like the first time. And I know I've gotten better in my life, but there were things that I never said that I said that day. Truths that I had to face because I couldn't pretend that they didn't exist. And trust me, pretending is just another form of denial. You're not saying it didn't happen like the way it did. You're saying it didn't happen. You're pretending like everything's all hunky-dory coochie crunch. Or you're pretending that, somebody else did all the evil in the world to you. You had no part in it. Stop. Having the support when you're ready to face it is essential. I'd love to be able to say people could do it on their own. I have a feeling that some people can. I am not one of those people. I have faced way too much in my life alone, and I know that all that does is make me rebury it. That's what I do. Take it out, look at it, go, no, back in the closet, back in the ground, back on the shelf. Can't deal. But when you have somebody, to say, I got you. I got you. I have a whole bunch of somebodies like that. Some more, prominent than others, but they're important people to me. And not for being there for me. They're important people because I love them. Genuinely and honestly, and from a place where pain is a very real thing. Trust me, my brain tells me all the time, we don't want to love anybody anymore. Yeah, that's not a good place to be. They can hurt you when you love them. And that's okay. It's okay. I think I've proven over my life I could take quite the beating. So, I mean, I would rather love somebody and be hurt by it later than have missed out on all that good stuff. Because trust me, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, if you've dealt with that, all the pitfalls and everything else from that relationship, all you're going to really look back on is the good stuff. And you'll joke about the bad stuff. Maybe not the way I would, but you flip the script. You take that power back. That's your personal power that they took. Nobody has a right to that but you. So having support is really, really essential because I know I get weak. I get scared and I can feel the regression. I can feel myself slipping back into, like that little kid mindset where no, 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 no. I've been there. I've had those nightmares. But I'm not that little girl. I'm a grown ass woman. I make mistakes. I do things really well. I hurt people. I help people. Because I'm human. There's two sides to everything. And I will do both. All I can pray is that I'm a good enough person that most of my life is spent on the light side and that the dark stuff isn't too bad. And then finally, what you do to overcome denial is you forgive it. You forgive yourself. You forgive anybody who, is involved but fesses up to it. You don't forgive the people that won't own up to it. Just forget them. That's why I think they say forgive and forget. I'll forgive you. I'll forget you. Because you can. You can just throw them right out of your head sometimes. But forgiving yourself is the biggest hurdle. You'll be much more willing to forgive other people than you're willing to forgive yourself. Even if you absolutely had no hand in what was going on, if you were completely the victim and now you're the survivor, that's how you have to look at it. You're no longer under their thumb. You're no longer suffering at their hands. Forgive yourself for ever blaming yourself. Forgive them for not seeing how much you were worth. Because some people, there's no accounting for taste. Some people are just evil. My father was evil. Did he have mental health issues? I don't know. They said he did in the Navy, but I mean, the asshole shot himself in the foot. So obviously he had some kind of issue. But that's the main thing. You got to forgive yourself and become acutely self-aware. Do self-assessments. Take every once in a while, take a look at yourself and say, am I on the right path? Am I really seeing things how they are, or am I seeing them how I want to see them? Because that fantastic thinking really, it gets in there and it could ruin you. Acceptance is the final stage. When you accept what happened, you recognize reality. You face your problems and your conflicts and you look for solutions to them. You look into resolving all your issues and the issues you've created for other people, because you can't be selfish. If you're going to accept it, you have to accept your role in other people's lives and the effect you had on them. And then there's the behaviors. I can't read my own writing. It's at the bottom of the page. You never try to write at the bottom of the page and it comes out all wonky. You have to establish healthier behaviors, and you will. When you accept that you deserve a better life and you deserve forgiveness, you'll treat yourself better. You'll take care of yourself more. Because before then, you were just garbage. So what do you put in garbage? Garbage. Garbage piles up, right? But when you accept that it's not your fault, and you accept that this is not the reality that's true, and you accept that maybe you had a hand in it, and you feel bad and you apologize. And I just creating healthier behaviors and um, relationships is key. And you can't get that without the acceptance. There's no way you're going to have healthy relationships if you're hiding things, if you're living in denial, because that's what you're doing. You're lying to people. You are a false version of yourself. Sean at Trish, what is comp? Don't be a shim. That's a shimanuts. That means don't be an idiot. Smarten up comp, as in compadre. So, or compar. It's your friend. So it's that these are Hoboken, Hoboken things. But a shim is an idiot. Like I used to call Marty, instead of saying, "Hey, Principal Shannon," I'd say, "Shimmy, what are we doing today?" And he would tell me, "Compy, compy," which means we're buddies. And lastly is, once you admit all this and you're out of denial, you are on your road to being your 100% authentic self. Because how can anybody love you for you if they're not seeing the real you? No, it's not New Jersey slang. It's Hoboken slang. Hoboken. Hoboken. Um, so yes, so the best thing you could do is be yourself. Don't change yourself to please anybody else. Um, don't pretend like you're something you're not. Don't do that. I find that people are a lot more willing to accept the good, the bad, and the ugly if you're honest about it. If you accept it, they'll accept it. There's always going to be people out there who want to, they stir the pot, they like, oh, and I swear the people that stir the shit pot really should have to fucking suck on that spoon, because it's ridiculous. But yeah, just be your real self. That's my whole thing about this. Whoever's out there who's hurting, you have strength. You have reserves of strength you can't believe. So don't ever give up. Don't quit. Don't stop trying to improve yourself. Nobody's expecting you to do it overnight. Nobody expects you to do it in a week or a month or a year. Just work on it. Ask for help. Tell somebody that you trust that you need to talk to them. Get a therapist. If you can't afford a therapist, go to a priest. Go to anywhere that someone will help you. Find a friend, somebody who can take it. See, that's always been my fear. If I tell anybody, they're going to look at me different. I don't want to be damaged in people's eyes, because I don't think something like that should be held against me. Something I was helpless to stop. I know that now, that I was helpless to stop it. But I don't want my image to change in the eyes of the people that love me, because I think it's hard enough to love me. I don't want to give them more reasons not to. Because as much as I accept that all that happened, I accept that it was wrong and it was absolutely torturous to do to a kid. I'm an adult now and I still carry it. I still see myself, you know, like she told me. That was her denial. She couldn't handle my grandmother. She could not handle what she saw. And believe me, what she saw was nothing compared to what he did. But it was gross and it was perverse. And her first instinct was to yell at me, to grab me and hurt me and yell at me and blame me. And then don't bring it up again. Do not mention it to your uncle. Do not tell your father, meaning daddy. Do not tell grandpa. I was forced to live in a state of denial and put a smile on my face and do my, dog and pony show. Ta-da! I've gotten good at it, haven't I? I could slip that smile on and you would never know that I'm dying inside. But it gets better. It gets better. Anybody out there who thinks that they're garbage, you're not. You're not. Everyone has redeeming qualities. Everyone has potential and everyone has good in them. You got to cultivate it. You have to recognize it, identify your good points. Don't identify your bad. Only focus on the good. You had enough bad. Focus on the good things. Focus on the beauty in the world. On what life can bring. Life is full of surprises. It's full of moments of joy. Nobody is miserable every single second unless they want to be. If you meet someone who wallows in their misery and enjoys spreading that misery to other people, you should feel bad for that individual because they're severely lacking something, any kind of joy in their life. And my heart breaks for them. It does. But I'm really, really done trying to fix people. All I can do is give you guys the information, kind of rip my own heart out and go, here you go. Take a look. Maybe I overshare. Maybe I don't share enough. But I share what I'm comfortable sharing. I say what I believe. I'm not asking anybody else to believe it. I'm not asking anybody else to even think I know anything I'm talking about. But on the off chance that somebody out there needs to hear it, I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it and put it out there. And I don't care if I get mocked. I don't care if people, say, oh, she's a fucking liar, or she's this, or she's whatever. You don't know me. But hopefully there's that one tortured soul out there who's just begging for somebody to throw them a rope. I'm throwing ropes like a motherfucker. And it's already helped a lot of people. That's my goal. I thank you very much for indulging me today. Sean said, don't live in the past and don't let it define you. I got to get back to work. Later, Trish and chat. Bye-bye, Shawnee. He called me Trish. He knows that makes me happy. Jacob. My boy. Thanks for the heart, honey. Baby steps, Daisy said. Yep. And I don't even know where my damn mouse is. Jacob said, like Shelley said, therapists are expensive, but churches will provide what they can. Yeah. And there are tons of different community groups. I would recommend if you have a senior center or a community center that you could go to, they can either help you there or they'll have information on how you can get free services. Places that you can go to talk to somebody. Because mental health is a huge issue in this country, all over the world. And they're finally realizing it needs to be dealt with because people are just getting worse. And just hang in there. For all that I've been through in my life, and you guys don't even know the half of it. God, I have fun in my other parts of my life. Yeah, I had bad shit, but I had so much fun other than those. Outside of those experiences, I loved people. I mean, I loved. And I took back my power many, many times. And I was able to do things to look at them and twist them until they became something completely different and something that I could live with. And eventually they became something I could use. Because fuck you for doing that to me. You gave me all this garbage. Well, guess what? Modern art can be made of garbage. I'm going to make something pretty. And that's what I'm going to do with my life. I will continue to improve. I will continue this journey where I'm just hopefully making things more beautiful for other people, more joyful. I want everybody to feel joy. I want them to be gleeful. It's why I have the friends that I have. It's why I'm drawn to certain people because there's so much pain there and they just won't let it keep them down. And I won't either. I have so much space in my heart for other people. I have the patience to work with you. I have the ability to listen, and I can make you smile. I can make you laugh. I can alleviate that pain for a little bit. And maybe now I can get you to listen and get you to love yourself a little bit. Forgive yourself a little bit. Sometimes a little bit's all you need. Starts the ball rolling. The laws of motion, an object in motion tends to stay in motion unless it's met with an, immovable force. Just start. See where it takes you. I'm going to keep doing what I do. And Daisy said, you've helped me so much. You've given me so much hope. Honey, you are, I can't tell you how much I really adore you because Daisy, you make me laugh and make me smile no matter what mood I'm in. I could be the lowest of the low and I will get a DM from you and I will burst out in laughter because you just have such a way. One, you have a way with words, girl. Jesus. But another is you just have a way of looking at the world. I know you're going to be right back. Well, you're going to have to replay this, bitch. You do. You have a way of looking at the world that just it's so pure. It really is. And Jacob said, I mean, shit, you've dealt with me this long. Oh, I adore you. You're so cute. You're a good dude. A very good dude. I happen to know a lot of really good dudes. And a lot of really great girls. Women, sorry. I hate to assume your gender, but I'm going to call you women anyway. But thank you for indulging me. This is all to bring awareness for other people and for me to work through some of my shit. And it's working because I'm stronger. As much as it hurts, I'm a lot stronger. You know, that fire. Whew, that fire is there. And I got my fight back. So, yeah, I'm going to be just fine. We're just going to have a lot of tears along the way. Please remember to be kind to each other, to yourselves, to anybody. Kindness is a gift, and there's not enough of it in the world. With that, I am T3, Shelly.
Sorry.
And this has been Coffee and Chaos. Heavy on the chaos because I'm out of freaking coffee. Unbelievable. I did all this with no coffee. Y'all should be so proud of me. So proud. Because me, without coffee and no sleep, like I slept before before winning yells at me that I didn't sleep. I slept 3 hours. I don't want to hear shit. So I'm good. But thank you guys for coming by, and out we go.
I'm going to assume a missionary position, and I'll probably be holding it for a very long time.
What was that?
I'm looking forward to taking it all in.